Welcome back to another extra, and this extra is being created to support our data architecture series, modeling a data architecture to be specific. We needed to publish this episode in order to support part 7. We're going to cover a few things in part 7 that need to be considered when you're using UML to model machine learning and AI. So let's get started. So we're in design, we're iterating between solution and design. We've created a namespace for design. We have brought in the architecture building blocks for our design phase. DSA stands for Data Science Architecture Group. And then we have focused on particular building blocks for this part of the design structure. We also brought in tooling. This is DSA R2 tooling. This is platforms, tooling, and frameworks. And we have all learned how to clone this package structure here. You can right click in here and find in browser. Right here is the tooling. We've learned how to clone this. And when we clone them, we went into its own package area under component view, because we're going to transform these class elements into components and use them in our architecture. It's very critical that you understand the version numbers of not only the diagram, but the elements that's in here. Let's go to the design diagram here. Let's go to layout. Let's turn on filtering. So we're going to scroll down to version, and we're going to start with 0.01. There's only one element that I see in here. Let's scroll out a little bit more. There's some new elements that the design architects are bringing in. So these are set to version 0.1. Let's look for any that are 0.2, and there aren't any. Let's look at 0.3. I'm not sure why we would have 3s if we don't have 2s. But in this case, it's important to understand what versions you're starting with. And let's see if we've got any version 0.4, and there aren't any. Let's go to our DSA component tooling. Now we've already started design here, and these are version 0.4, right? We can open up one of them and you can see the version. So they have basically taken the cloned elements and they have versioned them for their design. So we know there's nothing greater than 0.4 or version 4. And what we're doing here is we are going to clone these elements for version 0.4, all right? We want to keep the class elements here separate from the building block elements that are class elements. For demonstration purposes, let's just do one more. We're going to do Sparx. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on this, clone element as new version, right? Now we're going to 0.4 or version 4 in the draft form. You can see it is now, if I hit Alt-G on this, it is now part of this component tooling views namespace. And these are the only elements in here. There's 5 of them in here. So we want to transform these class elements. Double click on it. You can see it's a class element. Also in properties, mine's over in the lower right, you can see the type is class. Now I can select this and I can change the type here, or I can go to Design tab, Elements, and right here, change the type. We're going to do it this way first. Right now it's set to class, and we're going to change this to a component. We're not going to change it to a node. We're going to change it to a component. I'm going to hit OK. Yes, save the diagram. Thank you. This is now a component element. Select it. In the dialog, you see component, and over in properties, you see its component. And you can always change elements back to at any time you want. Let's use properties. I'm going to go in here to component. I'm going to change this to a class. And there you go. It is now a class. I'm going to change it back to component right here to component. And we're going to do the other elements in here, change these to components. I want you to notice over in the browser, the class icon versus the component icon as you're making changes. The next thing is that the traceability is still the same as the originating element. And if you go to notes here, all the intelligence is still the same for this element as it was with the class element. You do not lose any data. Some important tips to know is always make sure the element is in your namespace, that you have cloned them. You do not want to affect the originating items that are in the design tool for the building blocks. So always make sure that you're in the namespace. What I normally do, select an item, Alt-G, it's in the namespace, change, right? And then it remembers, go to component. It remembers the selection. Select the next item, make sure it's cloned, it's in the namespace, change it. It remembers the last item, okay. Next item, Alt-G, find it in the namespace. It's been version 04, change or transform to component. And then the last one for the session, change to component, hit Alt-G. All of these icons in this namespace are now components. All right, here's some pro tips. I like to, if I go to the original, right click, find in browser, and then I go back to my target cloned diagram, I like to bring in a hyperlink, right? Hyperlink like this. We're going to go ahead and size this, something like that, right? Now, if I select this item, I can right click on it, view properties. I can hide the icon. That'll take away this diagram icon. I like to leave it on. I can type in notes or description. Just know that as soon as you do this, whatever you type in here is going to show up as the hyperlink. So I don't type anything in here. All right. So what I will do is if I go to the diagram, I will copy this path here in the diagram description or notes, and I will put in the link in here so that I'm able to understand where the originating diagram came from. The next tip, and probably the most important one, let's go ahead and close the original one. Make sure that we're on the package for our model that we're working with. And what I want to do is hit Control Alt and B, and I want to baseline this. So let's show differences between the last baseline, show differences, baseline, and you can see all of these. This is the work that we've done, and it has been changed. And I can go Control Alt and B, and I can build a new baseline. This is going to be 02. If you're working multiple times during the day, I would leave the time in here. Other than that, I'm just going to take the time out. You can put other notes in here as I've shown you how to do in your baselining, and we're going to create a baseline, and it's done that fast. Let's go ahead and close this. Another important feature, if you're in Sparx 17, and I am, build 1704, is timelines. So you can come up here, show a snapshot. Now this is by session. It popped up over another monitor, and I'm able to look at what has happened over dates and times. So you can see we've added a link in this and we have not saved, right? Come up here and we can hit the little save icon or hit Control S. And now if I look at the snapshot, this is the last snapshot, right? Then what I like to do periodically, especially if I'm ending session or after team calls or review calls, I like to save the snapshot and then put some notes in here following a team call. So you might following a team call, and you could certainly put as much notes as you want here, team call, team review session, or what have you. And now over in saved, thank you very much, we have snapshots of saved sessions. So we've got this one, date and time, this one, and now this one, we've had it at a hyperlink, and we've converted some components. Let's look. These were class elements at this date and time, and now these are components. So this is saved, and I'm able to see the progress or progression of this model throughout our design delivery exercises. Now, as you're building your component elements, you're able to bring those into specific views, topics, and discussions within your architecture. So the most important UML diagrams for architecture around machine learning and artificial intelligence or AI are number one, use cases. We're going to talk about use cases in another session. The other one is class diagrams and activity diagrams, even sequence diagrams. All of these can be generated from scenarios, which you've learned in this channel, and we'll talk about in that next episode. And then the last one is component. You really need to build out components. We're going to get into deployment views, converting these elements. We can convert any of these elements into nodes for deployment views, versioning those. So I hope this video was helpful for you. Thanks very much for watching. And until that next episode, happy modeling.